Planet Vero Studio is powered by the Nolan Group of eXp Realty. She is a beauty influencer from New York City who commands attention.
He is a lawyer born and raised in Florida who lays down the law.
And together they are the Lady and the Law. Here are your hosts of The Lady and the Law, Cindy Grossman and Mitchell Goldman.
Hello, Cindy. You are my influencer.
Thank you.
I like that. You are my influencer as well, Jesse. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mitch. Appreciate that.
Today we have a good friend of mine, Brad Bettin. Brad and I have practiced law in one form or shape or capacity since I started in 1984. Brad started a few years before I did. Brad is a double gator, having graduated from both University of Florida undergrad and law school. Brad, this is the one thing I got to say about Brad. He cheats a little bit because, and I'll tell you why. Brad knows why, because he has two favorite baseball teams. There's something wrong with that. He has one team, Minnesota, in the American League, and the Phillies in the National League. So but Minnesota, when they play Philadelphia, Minnesota is his true number one team.
Okay.
So but that's one secret. Brad knows more about Gator sports than anybody I know. He knows more about sports than anybody I know. But we're not going to talk about sports today.
Okay.
It might be more interesting, but Brad, we got to stick on point today. And Brad is a civil litigator. Brad's done this a long time. Brad has a lot of different thoughts about litigation, and he has some very good advice that I think will be of great benefit to our listeners. And even if you get sued, we have advice about what to do in that case. So, Brad, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. Thanks for giving us a little of your evening away from the college hockey games that you're listening to and the pro game that you're listening to.
That's right.
Brad, let's talk about some ways to avoid litigation. I know you get paid to litigate, but what can clients do to avoid us? I suppose as lawyers, we have a responsibility to make sure the clients are served the best way that we can. So hence the topic here. And one of the things you and I talk about, and you can give some examples, is know your customers. So what does that mean to you, Brad? You're a business owner, you're selling, you're giving a service. Know your customer before you provide that service or that product.
Well, it's really know the people that you're dealing with in any context. If you're talking about customers, you want to make sure that you have some idea who they are, what they're about, get to know them. Biggest thing I would say is don't ever operate on the premise that, a handshake's good enough. I will tell people all the time that, if you are dealing with a honest, upstanding, totally decent human being, then you don't need a contract at all. Because if that's who you're dealing with, the two of you can work out any problem that may come up. The problem that you have is you don't find out whether you're dealing with that kind of a person until there's a problem. And so your assumption should be that the best way to maintain a good relationship with this person, whether it is a customer or a business partner or whatever, is spell out everything possible on the front end, anticipate all the ways that something could go wrong. I mean, let's face it, anybody who's in business for any length of time, you've seen most of the ways that something can go wrong. You've had those moments where you say, I wish I would have done X, Y, or Z to keep this from happening. When people come in and talk about, well, we want to start a business, I tell them, okay, well, let's figure out all the fights that you can have, all the disagreements you can have. How are you going to solve those things? You really start planning for things going south, or at least accounting for things going south right from the start.
Yeah.
And that gives you a much better chance of having a relationship that goes smoothly.
One of the situations that Brad and I have with the client, it's a company that sells a product, and they're dealing with a company that bought the product, a well-known company in the area, a medical institution in the area. And, Brad knows who it is. I don't want to say the name, but I have another client that had the same problem, very slow pay from this same medical institution. So, if my client, it's always great to get an order or to get a sale or to feel really good about that, but it's even better to get paid. And if you do the work or you provide the service and you don't get paid, well, then you've lost. And if you don't get paid for a year, you've still lost because of the time and the frustration. So know your client. If they have a slow reputation for slow pay, you need to get your money up front, or don't do the work for that person, because in the long run, you're going to be better off not getting that job. I know you want to get as much as you can, but you're better off not doing the work for them and avoiding them and avoiding litigation with them. So,
yeah, I think one of the things that you could say there, Mitch, is that what businesses need more than anything else is cash flow. Having big accounts receivable doesn't help you. Your big accounts receivable means you've done a lot of work, you've spent a lot of money to perform, and now you're sitting waiting on the cash to come in. Meanwhile, your operating expenses continue, and you've got to pay those. So, make your customers establish a reputation with you that justifies your giving them some sort of credit or, time to pay. Don't assume, oh, they're good for it. No, that's going to get you in trouble in a hurry.
So without having, a written terms, let's say terms 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, if that's not, spoken about beforehand, at what point can you actually sue them for the money?
Well, that's there's a very old claim in Florida called account stated. And in essence, it's once you send them an invoice for the amount, that amount is due. A judge is going to expect you to give somebody a reasonable amount of time after presenting your invoice before you go into court suing them over it. But, an invoice is supposed to be responded to within a reasonable amount of time. Mm-hmm. The error I see, and this is just dealing with that one instance that Mitch was talking about. We had the vendor in question did business in a way that's quite traditional for these folks. They didn't sign a contract on the front end. Instead, they issue invoices, and the invoices have terms on them. Pay within 30 days, after 30 days, 1.5%.
Oh, right.
That's a lot of people do that. Mm-hmm. Honestly, if you're going to have a relationship with somebody who's going to be, you anticipate already it's going to be a repeat business person. These are people who are going to be placing orders with us on a regular basis. Get an account agreement drafted up and get the account agreement signed. Don't try to make the invoice your contract. Have them sign an account agreement that spells out that, we will send you invoices. The invoices will be due within 30 days. If you don't pay the invoice, then interest will start running at 1.5% a month. And oh, by the way, if we have to sue you to collect, we get attorney's fees and costs. You want it. There's really no good reason, if you're a vendor dealing with somebody on an invoice basis and it's somebody you're dealing with repeatedly, there's no good reason not to establish an account agreement that type of purchaser signs.
Yeah. And as I said before on other shows that we've talked about, and Brad will appreciate this, if it's not in writing, it didn't happen. Because he said, she said on the phone, you got to get it in writing, even if it's an email or a text. At least it's something that we can provide as some proof that this was the statement, this was the understanding.
Yeah, that's an important thing. If something is important enough for you to say it out loud, it's important enough for you to document it in some way, shape, or form.
Brad, we're going to talk more about that in a minute. We have to go to a commercial break, and then we'll come back, and we'll be right back. Thanks.
I'll try to be a good guest.
The law offices of Goldman, Monahan, Tucker, and Bettin is here to help you with your personal legal challenges, business needs, and real estate matters. Since 1984, we have assisted countless numbers of Florida individuals and businesses with their legal issues, from trusts and estates, wills, real estate, and civil or criminal litigation. We pride ourselves on maintaining lifelong client relationships and would appreciate the opportunity to assist you and your family as well. Please call 321-639-1320 for further information on the law offices of Goldman, Monahan, Tucker, and Bettin. I'm a non-attorney spokesman.
At Compass Pest Control, we focus on killing pests where they live and breed by terminating them outside your home or office before they can get in. Hi, I'm Chris Hudman, owner of Compass Pest Control. We prevent roaches, ants, and other pests from getting inside with a proactive approach. We don't stop there. We also offer lawn and plant health programs, and we'll never sell you something you don't need. At Compass Pest Control, our prices are competitive, your satisfaction is guaranteed. Get a free estimate. Visit compasspests.com.
Celebrate Thanksgiving the old Florida way at Marsh Landing Restaurant. Enjoy traditional dinners with all the trimmings. Make reservations now and let Marsh Landing do all the work. Marsh Landing in historic downtown Fellsmere. Online at marshlandingrestaurant.com.
Even with all this financial uncertainty, real estate is still the best tool to build wealth. Whether you're looking at investments or using your real estate to provide a legacy, let us show you the way. I'm Chris Nolan of the Nolan Group of eXp Realty. Visit mynexthomefinder.com.
Sunshine Furniture brightens up your day.
At Sunshine Furniture, our 35,000 square foot showroom is filled with the largest selection of in-stock coastal furniture on the Treasure Coast. Dining and bedroom sets, occasional tables, sofas, sleeper sofas, love seats, and chairs, including lots of slipcover styles from Universal, Four Seasons, and Capri. We also have a gallery of Tommy Bahama and Lexington with styles designed for a relaxed approach to the finer things in life. We're having a fall sale with lots of great markdowns, including all pictures, lamps, and accessories half price. Sunshine Furniture, 1295 US 1 in Vero Beach, next to Planet Fitness. Family owned and operated since 1991. Don't forget to visit our outlet and closeout store directly across the street and visit our website at sunshinefurniturecasual.com.
Sunshine Furniture, the best in every way. Have a sunshine day.
Need an enlightening pick-me-up? Visit Kristen and Cindy at Skinergy to energize your skin and keep it looking fabulous forever. Kristen can help with hair removal, sugaring to keep your whole body smooth and conditioned. Kristen will help you refresh and defend your skin while giving you a customized facial. Cindy helps skinergize and get you camera ready for your everyday look or special occasion. Visit Kristen and Cindy at Skinergy. Find them on Facebook under the Skinergy Squad.
And we're back to Lady in the Law. And our guest today, my good friend Brad Bettin. Brad, welcome back. Time to turn off the hockey game. Round 2
It's
here.
off.
Okay. Brad, one of the things I always tell clients, and I'd like your thoughts, if you can't pay something, if you can't pay an invoice, if you're going to be late delivering something that you promised that you would deliver, a product, a service, if you're going to be, unable to fulfill a timeline, what do? My advice is you be proactive and you let the party know who you're supposed to pay. You let the party know who you're supposed to do the work for or deliver the product. Hey, you're going to be late, but you let them know so that they don't get upset when they don't get what was promised the day it was promised.
Absolutely. I mean, if you let people know that there's a problem, if you are taking the lead, being proactive, people will forgive things like that. As long as you're communicating, as long as they see that you acknowledge the obligation that you have to them. At least it gives them some sense of, okay, this person knows I'm here. They know they owe me something, whether it's performance or cash. They're not ghosting me. The people who get angry is you send the bill and you hear nothing. They ignore you. You try to reach out to them and say, hey, what about this? I sent you the product, a month and a half ago. I see nothing. And they don't even acknowledge you. I mean, that'll damage your reputation and make it more difficult for you to do business in the future.
Exactly. And people get rightly upset because hey, I paid you the money or I delivered something. Where's my product? Where's the money you owe me? The check's in the mail, the proverbial mail, which it may be, but it's in the mail. No, it's not. Surprises in that sense aren't good. And you need to let the other party know. Be honest. Keep them in the loop. Be proactive. Even if the news isn't what they want to hear, at least they're not surprised. So I think that's, very good advice. Brad, I know you've had so many cases where it's just documentation and records. Can you briefly talk about the importance of good record keeping if the matter, goes into litigation?
Well, records are evidence. And I mean, that's the technical term, but, if you get yourself in a situation where you're in a courtroom and there's a person sitting up on the high bench with a little hammer in his hand or her hand, listening to you, your judge's attitude about what you say is going to be, yeah, okay, right. You have a dog in the fight, so you're going to tell the story your own way. I mean, let's face it, none of us will tell a story and make ourselves the villain. So the plaintiff is going to be the most reasonable person in the world who does everything right and is somehow wronged, and the defendant is going to tell the exact opposite story, that the plaintiff is a nasty human being who treated him wrongly, and I'm done everything right. What is a judge going to look at to try to figure out who's giving the straight information here? Records that are created at the time that you're going through all this, in many cases, records created before you even knew you had a problem with this person or with this issue, are going to be something that a judge is going to look at and say, is this consistent with the story either one of these people are telling? If you keep meticulous records of what's going on, and that means, if it's a contract situation, you have the contract itself that everybody has signed. You have any communications back and forth, letters, emails, phone messages, whatever, during the course of the contract itself that show what was happening when. You have invoices, you have all of this stuff that you created while you were in the course of doing the work that shows exactly what was happening. You have a lot better chance of a judge looking at all that and saying, the version you're telling me is the one that's correct.
Brad, with the time, we have a few minutes left.
Okay.
If you are sued, I want to ask you about a few things. And I'm going to throw a few concepts out at you, and you talk about them. Corporate structure, adequate insurance, and being reasonable and realistic.
Starting feeling with corporate structure, entity structure. The reason that corporations were originally created was so that individuals like you and me can escape having personal liability for business relationships. We all lead different, our lives have different components to it. We have work and then we have home. If our business blows up, we would all like the harm to be to stay with the business itself. We don't want it to follow us home. The reason that you establish a corporation or an LLC or some sort of business entity for your business operation is so that, number one, liability. If there's liability, it stays there. Number two, obviously, it makes it easier for you to keep track of income and expenses. And let's face it, if you make money, Uncle Sam's going to want his share. So it makes it a lot easier for you to keep your finances straight. But then number three, the biggest thing is, most business operations, well, I won't say most, it's a business operation that has multiple people involved is not at all unusual. If your business's operation is you and your buddy opening the business together, and you're doing it in your own names and there's a problem, you're going to have a difficult time sorting that out. That's why you create an entity. That's why, in case, let's say you have a corporation, you each get shares, you have a shareholders agreement that says this is what happens if we ever come at loggerheads and we decide we can't live with each other anymore. You do all of that stuff so that you can keep your business, keep a business failure from destroying your home.
All right, Brad, I got to wrap it up here. Two things that we've talked about. Don't go yet. Adequate insurance. Always have insurance, liability insurance, professional insurance, if that's appropriate. That's always something very important. Be reasonable. Everybody disagrees. Litigation is very expensive, time consuming. If you can come up with an answer to resolve it, maybe that's the best solution. Brad, with the time remaining, please give people your phone number, your email address, and we appreciate your time.
Okay. Sure. It's Brad Bettin, phone number 321-639-1320. I'm at extension 120. And the email address is Brad, B-R-A-D, at gmtblaw.com.
Thank you, Brad. I'm sure I'll see you very soon. And have a nice evening.
Oh, I'm sure. You too.